As you sit here or lie here with the eyes closed, just checking in from head to toe. Noticing all the sensations, signals from the body. As you're ready, go ahead and lie down if you're not already there. Let those muscles around the spine release, helping to signal to relax the nervous system. And let's stretch those arms out to a T. Maybe we can stretch those legs out to like 5 and 7 o'clock. Let the knee muscles around the spine just release here. If there's any gripping in the glutes, see if we can let them go. Any holding or gripping in the back of the legs and the hamstrings. So we open up here with the arms outstretched and the palms face up. And with those legs open a little wider to like 5 and 7 o'clock. Just creating some space in the armpit area and the groin area. For the flow of lymphatic fluid. Related to immunity, we'll just open up the body. Stretch everything out. Just noticing the rise and fall of the belly here. The inhale, that belly floats up off the spine, off the floor. And the exhale, the belly floats back down. Few rounds of intentional breath before we shift into our movement practice. Breathe into the belly first, then into the chest, all the way up into the nose. And then open that mouth nice and wide, stick the tongue out, lion's breath to exhale. Stretch out the jaw. One more time, breathe into the belly, then the chest. All the way up into the collarbones, breathe into the nose. And then big wide mouth as you exhale, stick the tongue out, lion's breath and roar. And then one by one, we'll start to slide those legs back in, bending the knees, hug the knees into the chest, rock side to side, massaging the back, and just kind of check in with the hips. Maybe the eyes are still closed here. Comparing left hip to right hip as you rock. Noticing what's happening in the low back. So shimmy around, make sure that spine is nice and flat on the mat, lengthening out here. And then hands on knees. And we're just gonna open those knees to the side. Little stretch for the inner thighs and the groin to get started. And then close. And again, open, nice and slow. Close. open, and close. A few more times. And then when those knees are back together, let's make some circles. Do both directions, so whichever way you started is fine. Belly is drawn down to the spine here, anchoring that low back. And then switch it up, circle the other way. Starting out with some lubrication for the hip joints. And then those feet will come back flat on the ground. I'm gonna work on a little bridge pose next. To start, I'm gonna walk my feet in. As close as I can get them. Shoulder blades tuck under a little bit here. And then when you're ready, your arms can be by your side or wherever they feel safe or most supportive. When you're ready, stretch those hips up into your bridge pose. And then while we're here, we'll open the knees. Once again, out to 5 and 7 o'clock. Knees back together. And nice and slow, release your bridge back down. When you're ready, ground those feet down into your mat. Turn on those thigh muscles as well as the glutes and the hamstrings. The whole lower body is working as you lift. Open the knees out to the side. Back together. Release down. We'll do a few more times. Rounding down, stretching the hips up. We get a little stretch in front of the hips for those hip flexors. Knees open to the side again. Back to center. Release down. Last one. Lift it up into bridge. Open those knees. Bring them back together. And then slowly releasing that spine down, one vertebrae at a time. Rolling the spine back down to the ground. And then we're going to do our twist a little bit differently this morning. Or usually just do a knee down twist. So we're going to come onto our left side here. Just rolling onto your left and make a little pillow with that bottom arm, with the left arm. So, see if you can. I'm going to hug my knees in a little bit closer to the chest to start. And today we're going to try stretching that top leg out long as we open to the right. So you can start with the hands clasped behind the head. And that right elbow will be by the right ear. And then we're going to stretch that right arm out nice and straight as we stretch and open that right arm, and we let that right shoulder blade come back to the ground. So we're in our twist. And then release. Back to center. Here we go. We'll do it a few times. Right leg extends out and across. Open that right arm. Head turns right. Maybe you look over towards that right hand. And then back to center. So we're stretching and strengthening that right hip. Stretch it out. Roll back down onto that right shoulder blade. So both shoulder blades are on the ground. Come back in. Again, stretch that right leg out. And extend, open across that right shoulder as you come back down. Back to neutral, and one more time. Extend that right arm out. Stretch that right leg out nice and long. And then while we're here, we're going to circle that right ankle. Both directions. And then just take a minute to point and flex. So see what you feel in that outer right hip. It's working here. And then release. Back to center, back onto your back. Hug those knees in. Rock it out. A little massage before we switch sides. And then when you're ready, roll over onto your right side, make a little pillow with that right arm. I'm gonna hug the knees in a little bit closer. And then clasping those hands back behind the head. And we'll start stretching that left leg out as the left arm comes back and opens, and that left shoulder blade comes back down onto the ground. And release back to center, back to neutral. And then again, left leg extends. Left shoulder blade rolls back down onto the ground. Back to neutral on your side. Here we go, stretch the left leg out and the left arm, head turns left. So if this is too much, you could always just do the knee down twist without that leg extended. Back to neutral, 2 more times. Left arm opens and we take a big breath into the twist. Exhale back. 1 more time. Stretch it out. Head turns left, and here's where we start to circle that left ankle in both directions. Maybe get out some creaking or cracking. And then point and flex that left foot. And then release. Back to neutral. And then we'll roll back down again onto the back. Once again, I'm gonna shimmy around and adjust and make sure my spine is nice and flat on the mat. Hug those knees into the chest, come into a little happy baby. Open those knees out nice and wide first, so they're outside the body, rather than hugging the knees into the chest. Then we lift those feet up. Just kind of checking in and letting that tailbone stay nice and flat on the ground. You can rock it out here. You can maybe straighten out a leg and then straighten the other leg, just kind of alternating sides. If the toes aren't available, you can have those hands behind the knees. And same thing, just stretch and straighten out that leg. And then back to your happy baby. Maybe those knees gently open a little wider as the elbows nudge them open and out, away from the body. And then we'll release. Slide those legs out, nice and long. Let's come into our banana pose, so you can grab your strap. And we'll start relaxing the whole body down to the ground. Inhale those arms overhead. Start out just here with a full body stretch. Point the toes and stretch those arms overhead. Nice opening and stretch for the armpit area here. Maybe the eyes are still closed. Take a breath into the belly, then the chest. Nice big exhale again. Open that mouth. Stick out the tongue. Lion's exhale. And just hold it here. Let's walk those feet over to the right and inch the upper body over to the right. Option 2, cross that left foot over the right leg here. So let's hold it for a few breaths here. Start to open and lengthen down the left side of the body. So just check in with the stretch, which is kind of like an arc. Banana pose. Relax the low back down. Relax that left shoulder. Remember that that left arm can be bent at the elbow and totally relax down in a restorative pose too. And then release back to center. Let's shift it over to the left, so the feet come to 5 o'clock and the head's over at 1 o'clock. Banana on the other side here. So just notice any differences in the right side versus the left. If there's more of a pulling sensation or it feels tighter, just kind of noticing which side that might be for you. Take a few breaths here into the right side of the body. Opening for the side body here. And then release, come on back to center. So we'll just drop that strap off to the side for now. And let's make our way up onto our elbows here, propping up. Just doing a little baby back bend to get started here. So my toes are pointed, palms are face down. I'm gonna start just lifting the chest. So if you're slumping down and the elbows are by the ears, think about grounding down into those arms, lifting the chest nice and high. And then as long as it's safe for your neck and you have no issues, you can lift that chin, you can look up, or maybe you can let the head drop back. Take a few breaths here. Lift that head. We'll slowly release back down. Hug those knees in again. Rock it out. Let's do a little hamstring and hip work. Grabbing our strap. We'll stretch those legs up into the air. And start out just bending opposite knees, just like you're walking your dog in downward dog. And the eyes can still be closed here. So. See how those hamstrings are feeling. Again, we make sure that the spine is nice and long and flat, and we see if we can bring our body into the shape of a letter L. And now let's open those legs. Nice and wide, coming into a V. Reclined, wide-legged pose. Rock or just hold here. Knees are soft, so there's nothing locked or rigid. While you're here, take a few relaxing breaths. Breathing into the belly and then the chest and then the nose. These big long exhales. Just letting everything gently open here. And then release back to center with those feet. We'll start with left leg crossing over the right into figure 4. Using the strap as leverage, but I'm going to slide that strap a little bit up more towards the ball of my foot, more towards the toes, and really flex that foot. Figure 4, just notice where you feel this. Feel it most in the outer hip, or maybe the inner left leg, or maybe do you feel it up the back of the right leg? Just kind of checking in. nice and slow, we'll release that left leg. Let's stretch it out, but let's let it hover in the air. Strap comes into the left hand. Let's inhale that right arm overhead. And then if you'd like a little core challenge, take a breath in. And on the exhale, we just lift head, neck, and shoulders. So we're working on strength and balance. And then we're really stretching that right leg, drawing it in a little bit closer. Thigh closer to the belly. And then nice and slow, head comes down first. And that left leg comes into the strap to meet the right. I'm just going to shimmy around and adjust and make sure my spine is nice and flat before switching sides this time. Right leg comes out, figure 4. So let's kind of check in with the stretch and notice sensations. Where do you feel it? What are you feeling? It feels like there's energy today and you feel like you could stretch a little deeper. That right arm can gently push that right knee out and away, just nudging a little deeper into the pose. Energy here. As you draw that left leg in a little closer, and like we did on the other side, I'm gonna slide that strap up a little bit more to the ball of the foot towards the toes, and just pull the toes back towards the face, flex that foot, stretch that left heel up towards the sky. And then release. Let's stretch that right leg out. We'll let it hover over the ground. Strap reaches with the right, reaching for the strap with the right hand. Stretch that left arm overhead. So we're working right and left hemispheres of the brain. So we have opposing limbs stretched out here. The right side of the brain communicating to the left to coordinate these opposite sides working. So you can stay here or take a breath in. And as you exhale, lift head, neck, and shoulders. Waking up the core a little bit here. Relax that head, neck, and shoulders back down. 2 hands with the strap. We bend that right knee, put it back into the strap. And one more time, open those legs to a V. Inner thigh stretch, close the eyes, and just let this be a restorative opening stretch for the inner legs. Doing it with support, so those muscles know it's okay to soften and let go into it. And then when you're ready, bring those feet back together, drop that strap off to the side. We're gonna make our way up to sit, so you can slowly roll onto your side and push up, or spinal rocking if you wanna come with me. Hands are behind the knees. We bend at the knees, rock back and forth a few times here. Massaging the back and the kidneys, and then we'll all meet up in a modified boat pose. And remember that you can always do it with just one leg at a time, if 2 legs are too much. So holding it here. Then feet come down for a little cat-cow. Inhale, lift that chest, lift the chest and the chin. Exhale, curl back. And again, breathe in. Exhale, curl back like an angry cat. Arching that back, breathe in. Exhale, curl. One more time, inhale. And exhale. back to neutral. So we're gonna work on a little bit of core strength here, balance, while we work on lifting those legs. So I'm gonna start out in the modified boat. And you can use your strap if the toes are not available. I'm gonna reach for my big toes, and you can just work on staying right here. Right, so it's kind of like that modified boat pose with the legs hugged in, but we're working on core and stretching those legs out at the same time if that's available. If not, you can work on kind of like a balanced happy baby here, like a seated balanced happy baby. Or maybe stretch those legs out nice and wide. Take a nice breath in, belly's drawn into spine, check in with that posture. So the head is nice and tall. If you had that block on your head right now, it would be balanced. And then nice and slow, let's bend those knees, feet come down, let's slide them out. Legs are in a V again. Take a nice big inhale and exhale. We just start to come forward into a little stretch here. Let's walk those hands over to the right. So the hands are framing that right leg here. Knees and toes are pointed straight up. Flex that right foot and draw those toes back towards the face. Staying down low, walk it across. So the hands are on either side of that left leg. Ground down here with that right glute and that right hip. And really reach with that left arm. Walk back to center, walk those hands back in. Let's inhale it up. Exhale, twist to the right. So that left hand is hooking around the outside of the right knee. Relax the shoulders, look back over that right shoulder. If you had the block on your head here, you know your posture would be nice and tall. And then release nice and slow back to center. I'm going to grab my block in case you want to try it. Inhale it up. Exhale, twist to the left. This time right hand hooks around that left knee, and then I'm putting that block on my head here. So I know my spine is nice and tall, so I'm working on posture while I'm here. As we lengthen and straighten the spine and the crown of the head lifts towards the sky. Relax the shoulders and the jaw here. And then release back to center. Let's drop that block off to the side if you were using it. Bring those legs together, shake them out. We're going to work on another little strengthening pose, and we're going to lift up. So legs are together. We're hugging the insides, hugging the thighs together, and hands will be coming back as we lift to our upward plank. So we're going to point those toes. Remember to draw those belly muscles into the spine. Use your belly to help here. And when you're ready, we're going to lift those hips up, point the toes, lift the chest, and we're looking up to the sky. So the opposite of our push-up. Take a breath in and out. Exhale, release the hips back down, stretch it up, and then forward fold. So you could use your strap here or reach for the toes. Come back up. One more time. A twist, so we'll bend that right knee here. Left hand can just kind of hook around the knee, and right arm comes back to 6 o'clock for a gentle stretch. If it's available, you can hook it in hug that right leg in a little closer, or that left hand can come outside that right knee. Release, stretch everything out, shake out the legs, other side. So we'll hug that left knee in, and then this right hand on the outside. Or hugging in at the crook of the elbow. Or that right hand can be on the outside. So get nice and tall here. Twisting, looking back over that left shoulder. And meanwhile, those right toes are pointing straight up, right feet are flexed here. And then ready, release. Shake it out, we're gonna flip over. And come into our table pose. Start out with a little cat-cow here. Into the back bend. Exhale, curling that back. Breathe in. And out. In. And out. So let's walk the hands out as far forward as we can get them, coming to our puppy pose. So let's pull back towards the heels, like we're coming into child's pose, but those hips stay up high in the air. Another little stretch for the armpits. And let's try a few rounds of cat-cow from here. So coming up onto the fingertips here with the hands, and then we start with a little cat-cow. Coming into that little arch, that little baby back bend, lift the chin, look up, take a breath in, and then exhale, curl the back like the Halloween cat. So a few rounds here of your cat and your cow. And just see how it might feel different doing it with the arms outstretched. And then we'll start to walk those hands back. And we'll bring them a little bit wider. So hands come off the mat. You can bring those hands nice and flat here. And let's just dip that left shoulder down. You turn sideways. And then dip the right shoulder down. So a little stretch, gentle stretch for the front of the chest here. Just go side to side, left shoulder, come back to neutral, and then dip that right shoulder. So get a little stretch in the shoulder really gently. And as we bend those elbows and push down, we're working a little bit on upper body strength. Right? It's like a really gentle way to, I like the idea of how you bend those elbows for a push-up, for like a traditional push-up. But we're doing cross lateral movement as that right shoulder reaches over to the left when you dip down. So we're doing that right left brain thing again. And getting a little stretch for the chest here. Feels great for the shoulders. All right, and then back to neutral. Back to our table. Do a little circling here. See if you can make your circles really big and wide. Do them nice and slow. Maybe you can let the hips kind of hang and drop forward when you're in forward position, getting a little stretch to the front of the hips. And then switch it up, go the other way. And picturing those thigh muscles coming at the thigh bones and how we're just kind of circling in that hip joint here. Really gently creating some lubrication and working on hip mobility. And then release, come back to center. Let's take a moment for a child's pose. So I'm going to come into a wide knee. You can come into wide knee or regular, traditional. So I'm going to bring those big toes together, knees point out to 10 and 2 o'clock, and pull back. Release those hips down. You can rest your head on your block here or stack your hands, stack your fists. And just rocking that head side to side, little massage for the third eye. The center of the forehead. And then when you're ready, we'll make our way back up. Hands and knees to table. So belly's pulled up to spine here. Let's see if we can lift those feet off the floor and just circle out the ankles again. A little bit of love here. Maybe just noticing differences between the right ankle and the left. All right, let me just relax those legs down. We're going to start out bringing that right leg forward, and we're going to bring it to the outside of the hands here. So the hands are more on the left side of the mat. Pull that right leg forward. Bending into that right knee. So we're going to start out with a little twist. Take your time and come up to that right knee. We'll turn and twist and open those arms to the side. I'm going to see if I can get that right knee on a 90-degree angle. And I'm letting that left hip drop forward a little bit, getting a little stretch in front of the left hip. So turn and twist to the right. See if you can get those arms parallel to the ground. See if you can open. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, let's bring those arms together and we'll come forward and we'll see if we can bring that left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Palms are together. And then we turn. So we're twisting, facing over to the right. So if this is too much and you can't get this far, this is too deep, you can stay up a little bit higher. You can just have that hand on the knee and maybe stretch that arm up. So you go as deep as it feels safe and comfortable. Come back to center. We're going to come into a runner's lunge. So you can have your blocks handy here. At any height, we'll start to stretch that right leg forward and pull those toes back. Some hands can be down on the ground or on a block. And let's just kind of rock back and forth. Flex the foot, point the foot. Really slow. Flex and point. Draw that right hip back a little bit. Relax the shoulders. Relax the jaw and just hold. Bring the right hand on the inside of the foot, bend that right knee and just slide it back. We're going to flip around and do the same thing on the other side. So we'll start out, bring that left leg forward. It's on the outside of the hands. So you can start out here just kind of shimmering around a bit, wiggle it out. Little movement for the hips and low back, and then make your way up. And we'll do that same twist, but maybe this time first we'll do a little baby back bend. So I'm going to clasp those hands back behind my head, open those elbows, lift the chest. So meanwhile, while the belly is pulled into the spine, helping me to balance. And I'm just going to let that right hip sink forward a little bit. And then release, come back up. We'll stretch those arms out and twist left. Working on balance here, the whole time belly's drawn into the spine. And then coming a little bit deeper, we're going to bring those arms back together, bend at the elbows, right elbow reaches for outside of left knee. Palms push into one another. So if this is really tough, you can widen your stance. So that left foot can come out a little more, that right leg can open a little more to the right side of the mat, give you a little bit more of a wider foundation. And then remember, if this is too much, you can be up high and stretch that left arm up to the sky. So your choice how deep you want to go. And then release back to center. So now I'm going to bring my leg back to center of the mat here, since I had it nice and wide off to the side. Get these blocks set up, stretch that left leg out nice and long in front. Runner's lunge. Flex the foot, pull those toes back towards the face, relax the shoulders. And then point and flex, point and flex. Just a few times here. And then when you're ready, we'll start to bend that left knee and just slide that left leg back as we come back into table. Tuck those toes, stretch those hips up. Downward dog, reach the heels back. You can walk your dog here. Bending opposite knees. And then come to neutral, we'll lift up and get a little stretch for the toes. Lift those heels up. Off the floor, maybe bend the knees a bit. And then release down. Again, lifting up onto tippy toes. Bend the knees, little stretch for the toes. And then release down. One more time. Lift up into tippy toes. Bend the knees. So just getting a little stretch for the bottoms of the feet, which could be helpful for plantar fasciitis. And then release back into your downward dog. And then we're going to get up to stand, however it feels safe for you. If you want to come with me, I'm going to start to bend my knees and walk my feet and hands together. Nice and slow. Make your way up to stand. And when you get up, roll those shoulders up and back and down. And then roll the shoulders forward. Loosening everything up. So let's bring our feet hip width apart. Let's do a few rounds of breath and just get a little bit of mobility into the shoulders. Back up a bit. Inhale that right arm up. Exhale back down. You look back over that right shoulder. A little bit of a twist when you do it. Inhale it up. Exhale, circle back. One more time. Right arm, inhale up and down. Exhale. And then switch it up. Inhale that right arm up and this time forward. Circling that arm in the opposite direction and gently lubricating that right shoulder. Exhale forward. Let's switch arms. Inhale, left arm up and then back. Maybe a little twist. Look back over that left shoulder. Inhale up. Exhale back. And again, inhale up. Back. Switch it up. Inhale, arm up. Exhale, forward. Circling the other direction now. Breathe in and out. In and out. So while we're here, feet are hip width apart. I'm just going to turn sideways. Clasp those hands back behind the back or grab your strap if that's too much. Just working on a little baby back bend here. So starting rolling those shoulders up and back and down. We lift the chest. Maybe lift the chin and we look up a bit. And then we see if we can just lift those arms off the back. Doesn't have to be far. Even just a little tiny ½ inch. Belly's drawn into the spine while you're here. Drawing those shoulder blades closer on the back and stretching and opening across the chest to help us with opening and posture for upper body. Maybe let that head drop back and stretch that chin up if it's okay for the neck. Just respecting whatever you have going on in your body. Nice and slow, head comes up first, release those arms back down. Shake them out. We're going to work on a little standing balance now. So you can feel free to do this with a chair. You could use the wall. I don't know if anybody saw the video that I sent, that little 10-second video about working on balance and mobility in the hip. I'm just going to turn so you can see if I do this using the dresser for support. So maybe you have a dresser nearby or a chair. So we're going to be working on that hip and balancing and circling the hip. So nothing really that different, but maybe we're just going to slow it down. And so it's going to be a little bit different as we don't just lift and circle real quick. We're going to do it a little bit more slowly. So let's start shifting the weight into the left leg. And then of course, you don't have to hold on to anything. It's totally up to you. So we're going to start lifting that left leg up. So we're strengthening hip flexors here, getting that left leg as high as you can. Then we open it out to the side. And then we start lifting that back foot. We see if we can get it up maybe even a little higher than the knee. But we want to try and stay up tall here. I notice right away, I start leaning into it. So can you use that support and lift that foot back behind you and keep that head and spine nice and tall? And then we go back. And then that leg comes back down. Same thing, here we go. I'll turn sideways this time. That's the best way to see. Lift that left leg up. We're strengthening the hip flexor. Get that leg as high as we can. Then we open out to the side. Then we start to shift. We lift that foot back up. We see if we can get it a little higher than the knee. And then we check in with the posture. Spine is nice and tall, we're not leaning over to the right. Then we send that leg back and then circle it back down. So let's try one more time. We'll do a few times on each side. Lift that knee up, open it out to the side. Left knee comes down, left foot comes up in the back. We're really strengthening here. Then we kick that leg back and release back down. And then just shake everything out. Maybe hands on hips and we'll just circle it out a bit. So we're working on a little bit of balance there. And strength for the hip, mobility for the hip. And we try and do it with that tall posture so we're not tilting over to the side. So let's try it with the other leg. Grounding into that left foot. Belly's drawn into spine, lifting that right knee up as high as we can get it. Open that right leg out to the side. Then the right knee drops. We bring that right foot back behind. Maybe we get it up a bit. Kick it back. Belly's engaged the whole time. Right leg comes down to neutral. All right, 2 more times. Here we go. Lift that right knee up. Hug that right knee into the chest, flex that right foot. Open out to the right, external rotation for the hip. Now working that hip strength, right knee drops down, left foot comes up a little bit higher in the back. See how I'm leaning over to the left? I'm going to try and straighten up. So we got to work on balance and posture. Right leg comes back and then come back down. Just notice what your body's doing to compensate, like when I'm leaning over to the left. When you check in and you notice, straighten up. Last one. Right leg comes up, hug the right knee into the chest. Open that right leg out to the side. Right knee drops down. We try and bring that right foot up high. Ah. And then that right leg comes back. Squeeze that glute, and then right leg releases down. So just shake it out a bit here. Roll the shoulders. And let's come a little wider than hip width and just twist it out. So a little bit of a hip workout there. Strengthening while we're working on mobility. Let's just twist side to side, let those heels come off the floor. Those arms tap the side of the body. Let's do a few rounds of sun breaths here. So come to neutral, back into the center, just kind of shake everything out. Feet are hip width apart. Inhale, stretch those arms up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale the arms down. Nice big exhale out of the mouth. Inhale up. Palms together. This time arms out to a T. Bend those knees. Swan dive down. Inhale, flat back, hands to shins. Stretch the crown of the head forward. Exhale, bend those knees, forward fold, and come all the way up. Inhale up. Exhale, arms to side. One more time with that full round sun breath. Inhale. Exhale, arms to a T. Bend those knees, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, crown of head reaches forward. Nice little stretch for the hamstrings here. Exhale, forward fold. Roll all the way up. Inhale up, palms together. And hands down in front of the heart. Close the eyes and just take a few breaths here. Few breaths in and out through the nose. Just check in and notice how the body's feeling. Check in with those hips. We did a lot of different hip work. Just kind of notice how the low back is feeling. And we did a bunch of twisting and opening for the chest as well. So just check in. Feel those feet grounding into the earth. And then when you're ready, release those hands, open the eyes, and let's come into a warrior two stance. So let's start with the left foot forward. Big step back with that right foot. So remember, right foot is parallel to the back of the mat, or maybe that right toe is turning in just a little bit. Bend into that front left knee. So I'm going to just show you here how I'm trying to get down nice and low, so I have a 90-degree angle here at the bend at the knee. And then our warrior two arms. Looking out over that front left hand. And now let's turn the palms sideways. You can see my palms are facing you. Staying down low in the warrior two. Take a breath in. And then exhale, palms together in front. Turn and open. Right arm comes back to warrior two. Exhale, back to front. Inhale and open. Big exhale back. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. We're bringing those shoulder blades closer and stretching across the chest and the front of that right shoulder. Back to center. Inhale that arm up like a rainbow, comes back to that right thigh, and then tip back into your peaceful warrior. Reach and stretch out of that left hip. And then come back to neutral. We'll straighten out that right leg, parallel the feet. So we're facing forward. Inhale it up into a star pose. Take a nice breath in. And exhale, release those hands down behind the back again. You could grab your strap again here, clasp those hands behind the back. You don't have to do much to get a nice stretch. So let's start lifting the chest, drawing the shoulders back and down. Shoulder blades come closer together. So your hands can be clasped behind you, resting in the back. That could be enough of a stretch. Or you could lift those arms just a tiny bit off the back if it's available. Lift the chin, look up a bit. And then exhale, just release out, release those arms. And switching into warrior two with the right leg now. So right toes point forward. Check that back foot. And make sure that foot is parallel to the back of the mat, or that left foot turns in just a little bit. Bending down into that right knee here. Warrior two. Look out over that right hand. Out in front of you. Maybe you can get down a little deeper. And let's flip those palms so they're facing to the left side of us, right? So take a nice breath in and exhale, palms come back in front. Inhale, open to warrior two. Exhale, palms together. So we're working on strength and balance for lower body. Inhale, we're opening and stretching across the chest and bringing the breath into it. Two more, open. Exhale, palms together. Open. Exhale, palms together. This time that left arm comes up, painting a rainbow. And that left hand comes back down behind that back leg to the left hamstring. Tip back, peaceful warrior. Belly's drawn into spine while we're here. Release back. Straighten out that leg. Parallel the feet again. So both toes are pointing forward. Inhale, stretch it up. Exhale, wide-legged forward fold. You can come down to your blocks or the floor. Let that head hang here. Take that head, yes and no. You can bend and just do little lunges side to side if that feels good. Or maybe you just want to hold it still. Whenever you're ready, bend into the knees, walk those feet a little closer together. Come on up, stretch it up into your star pose, and then inhale, palms together, and exhale, arms down to your side. All right, step out, shake it out. We're going to make our way back down to seated. Let's nice and slow roll back down onto your back. Another full body stretch, point the toes, inhale those arms overhead. Nice big breath in, belly first, then chest. And then exhale, hug those knees into the chest, rock side to side. So checking in again and just kind of noticing any differences. If anything feels different since the beginning of class, what is it and how is it different? So let's stretch out our hip flexors. Feet come down, knees are bent. I'm going to walk my feet all the way to the edges of the mat. So my toes are hanging off onto the cold floor. Stretch those arms out, let the palms face up. And we windshield wiper, drop the legs left. And then drop the legs right. And close the eyes here as we start to slow down. And then we'll drop those legs over to the left. Reach that right knee down towards the mat. Stretch that right hip forward, head turns right. A little hold here. And then side to side. And then drop those knees over to the right. Left knee reaches down for the mat. Stretch that left hip forward, create a little length there. Head turns to the left. And then release back to center. Hug those knees in, rock side to side, yogi's choice here. Any final movement or pose or stretch that your body needs. Could be another happy baby. Or maybe you want to stretch those legs out to a V again. Anything that feels good, take it here. Maybe a cobbler's pose where you bring the bottoms of the feet together and you let those legs open, just like the pages of a book. Any pose your body needs. And then whenever you're done with it, make your way into Shavasana, whatever that looks like for you. I'm going to come into a reclined star today with arms out to 10 and 2 o'clock and feet out to 5 and 7. Any pose for your body to get still, rest, and just let go for a moment. Relax the head, neck, and shoulders. Soften the jaw. Release all the muscles in the back. And just bring the attention to the breath. The rise and the fall of the belly. Just observing and allowing the breath to come naturally. Whenever you're ready, you can start to bring some movement back in. If you have the time and the inclination and the comfort of your own home, stay where you are for longer. If you're ready, coming onto your side, curling up there, take a breath or two, and then eventually coming up to a comfortable seated position. Hands together in front of the heart and closing our practice with our loving kindness meditation until we meet again. May you be happy. May you be healthy in mind and body. May you be safe. And may you be filled with a sense of ease as we transition into spring, this season of outward, expansive energy and light. And namaste. Oh, great.
Thank you, Lisa.